Hi everyone, NestAnimClips back again with another button tutorial. I just love them, I can't get enough of these buttons. I've made my own button script here. It's called Messi's UI button, and here we've got my own triggers that we're using, and also these lovely events. And it takes advantage of the existing Unity buttons. You don't need to have them. You get colour tints here that I'm playing about with, but you can. So if I selected this button, I can still navigate these buttons. Lovely. I can go and click on it. You see that? Changes the colour. Isn't that clever? Oh, that's lovely. But it also has these little events here that you can also fire off as well. Now, what's the difference between doing this and doing like a standard Unity button and adding events to it manually? Well, actually, I like this a lot more because it's very tidy. I've got control, and also I've got all of my animations nice and tucked away inside my anim controller, so I don't have all of these loose naughty animations hanging around the place. Oh, isn't that pretty? So sit back, enjoy, and you'll find out how to play with buttons in just a second. Hi everyone, we're inside Unity playing again with the UI and all that animation shenanigans. I'm playing about 2017.4.30. It is that long lifetime support thingamajig. That's because I want to use an old version, so I can click on button, change this to animation, and you can see that I've got normal, highlighted, pressed, and disabled, but selected seems to be missing. That's because it's not here in the old ones, it's only there in the newer ones. But don't worry about that, we can add that ourselves. There's also a funky thing that you can click on that auto-generate animation and we can tell it where to stick it. It's always good to tell things where they can be stuck. And you can go anim, or go say like standard button, I'm just going to call it like that. And if I open up this little dongle, you can see that it's got these nested animations in there. And I love this, and it always makes me sad that if I want to create another animation, such as, there we go, and say selected. Here it is. So we've now got a selected animation. It makes me sad that it sits outside of all these friends. Ah, it's very sad. It's not very tidy either, because you've got these looking tidy and then these ones sitting outside looking a bit dirty, as though they don't really belong, as though they were added afterwards by somebody else and not the original gang, which is kind of like what we're doing. But don't worry, because there's this thing in Unity called add object to asset, and we can use that to add objects to an asset. And they've given you here some example code. So, or isn't that nice? But what about if we don't want to have to sit there and work it out ourselves? Where can we find something ready-made? Well, that, my friends, is called the forum, and it's full of amazingly helpful people. And this guy here, Zach, went and found a solution for his own question. He wanted to do it. How do I do it? I'd love to do it. Well, he worked out how to do it from using this little thing here, all this loveliness. And over here, this person said, oh, actually, you know what? I can help you even more by replacing the need to make duplicates if you do layers. So there you go. And this person there saying, hey, how about you just show it when you select on the animation controller rather than showing it disabled, but when you select on everything else. So I was like, you know what, that is amazing, I want to try it. So I did. It's got here, made a folder, NestAnimClips, and it's in there. So now if I go over here to the animator, and we're going to make it all look pretty by sticking it all over the place like that. And now there. Now if I just drag in this little badger here, there we go. You know what? Let's drag you in, and now right click on there, NestAnimClips in controller. Dun 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 dun. There he is. He's nested in there. Isn't that amazing? Yay! See? Brilliant. And then I can just delete this, and now they're all inside here, which is cool. Super cool, in fact. So I can do that with the other ones as well. So if I wanted to add more animations. So that's now how we can extend this. But how about this? It still doesn't have the other trigger. Well, that's near good. That's near good at all. So over here, I'm just going to click on trigger, and I'm going to add selected. And the strange thing is that in the newer versions, when you look at selected, the selected state, so when you say that actually isn't a button actually selected itself, regardless if there's an animation or trigger, whatever, that actually happens before this pressed thing happens. It was bizarre. I was looking at it thinking that's a bit strange, but yeah, not to worry, because we can add bits of code in there, you can add conditions, you can add loads of stuff to help slow that down. And let's add this condition is going to be selected. So there you go, if the trigger is selected. And I'm going to put that there. So really, it's going to work like this. Highlighted, press selected, and sometimes that pressed doesn't have to happen because you can use the navigation to select it. So sometimes you'll bypass this and go straight there. But that's not too shady. Shoddy now. Shady? It's not too shady. It's not too shady. Oh, there you go. It's not too shady or too shoddy. So we've got normal, highlighted, press, selected, and disabled. Again, that doesn't help us here at all. Look, it doesn't help us one wee little bit. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? I can make my own script and that will make the world a better place. But I don't want to lose this navigation thing. And then I realized I can just put transition as none. And I still get all of the joy of using its navigation, but I don't have to worry about its transitions. I can create my own bit of script that handles the transition while taking advantage of the native buttons navigation, because truly I love it. Some people don't, but I really do. I think it's grand. And then you've even got this on-click event handler as well. But don't worry, we're going to make our own. We're going to right-click in here. We're going to make a script. We're going to call it messy button, messy main button, messy UI button. There you go, messy UI button. Inside here, first things first, let's stick a namespace on here. Say messy namespace, and down the bottom, close off that curly. And I don't like the fact that this doesn't look pretty, so we're going to add a system at the top, and I'm also going to grab that and we're going to say events, and we're going to say events systems, and probably we're going to need, because we're doing UI stuff, we're going to need the UI stuff as well. And inside my messy namespace, I'm going to say system dot serializable. And now we're going to make our animation triggers the same way that the other guys, you've kind of got their own ones. So we're going to go to other guys. You know those people. Unity, I think they're called. So I'm going to say my animation or messy animation triggers, because these are messy ones. And here we go. So we're going to have a public string. Public string, and it's going to be a normal trigger. That's a normal. And you know what? Let's put in a default value. Normal. There you go. I'm going to copy that, stick that in loads of places like that. That's probably enough, isn't it? And it's complaining because it obviously would. But I'm just going to go. It's going to be lazy. Going to highlighted. Then we're pressed. Then we're selected. We cannot be disabled because it's disabled. I'm going to have locked because we want locked. I want purchased, just for the sake of me, and I also want cancelled. These are my different triggers that I'm going to have, and I'm going to have here highlighted. This one's going to be pressed. This one's going to be selected. This one's going to be disabled. I've kept the word trigger in there, just so it's easy to remember what they are. This one's purchased, and this one is cancelled. There you go. Now we've got our messy animation triggers, and they've all got default values. You don't have to do anything else. We don't have to build a constructor or any of that shenanigans. Okay, so now we're in our messy buttons. It's not going to be just a mono behavior. It's not just going to be a mono behavior. Also need to put in a I pointer click handler. Also, we're going to need an eye pointer. Let's delete that. Let's copy that. Eye pointer down handler. We're also going to need an eye pointer enter handler. Or not semicolons. These should be commas. Eye pointer exit handler, because they exit, and eye pointer up handler, and let's put the up and the down together. Up, click, down. I'm going to up down, click, up down, enter exit, I select handler, and I deselect handler. Awesome. They're all red and upset, and that's because you need to have all of the thingies for them. So actually all I need to do is do control full stop, and it will say you need an implement interface. I can do the explicitly one or this one, because we don't really need that one. I can go boom, stick that in. It's no longer arguing. It's the same for all of those. You're very lazy. I wonder if you could just do a magic button that does all of them at the same time. That would be cool. This one, and then the next one. Control full stop. Control full stop. Stop right now. Thank you very much. Now you see, they're not unhappy anymore. They're all happy. And let's go to that start and update. Brilliant. So we've got nothing there at the moment, so they're all just going to go for an exception, but at least we can see those little badges. So now when we do one of those things, when we click, when we put a pointer down, when we have our mouse go in and out of the objects, when we've got it selected, when it's deselected, it will do something. We can tell it to do something. And actually, let's put that deselect together. Let's put that up next to that down, and enter exit. There you go. That's nicer. You can tell I'm a little bit peculiar in how I like my things. So now we've got that. That's all well and good, but I want to have a little bit more funky things going on. If I click save now and we pop back into our Unity, we want to go to our button and drag in our script. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. You'll see that it doesn't actually do anything. Nothing super exciting is happening right now. So actually, you know what we need to do? I was just about to start doing more magic, but we need to do something else, because there's some things that we really need. We need to have an animator in this, and we need to have a button for this really to work. So we can say that, you know what, require a component. So make sure it's got a type of components animator. Okay. You can also say that it needs to have a button. Okay. And also disallow multiple components of this type. Now if we save it, pop back into Unity, I'm going to wait for it to do its updating, compiling. Now remove that component. I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to remove the button. And now we're just going to drag in a messy button, and you see immediately it also puts in a button script and an animator. Brilliant. So now we can bang, drop that in and turn that to none, and now everyone's happy again. And awfully cool is if I try to drag in two, it says, look, you can't have two, go away and have a cup of tea instead. So I really need to get some WD-40 from my chair, or maybe one day I could actually get sponsored and get a new chair. Sponsor me with a chair. I don't think it's ever going to happen, let's be honest. So now we know that definitely there's going to be an animator included in here. We can just go ahead and say, you know what, I want a doesn't need to be public. Should it be public? Yeah, okay, it can be public. Public animator doesn't need to be public though. You know what, I'm going to go and say it's a private animator. animator, and I'm going to call it animator lowercase. And now we're just going to get the value of whatever animator we've got on our main component. So get component in the triangles, animator, and then our brackets and our semicolon. Okay, we got this messy animation triggers at the top here. We've got this animator, so we might as well have some fun. Let's go serialized in a square serializable field, or serialize that field even. I'm going to go private. Again, my fingers are not working today. And Messy's animation trigger is going to be m_messy. Oh, my word, messy animation triggers equals a new messy animation trigger. There you go. So that'll look nice with an uppercase M, like that. Lovely. Now we're going to go and do our public messy animation triggers, and this one's going to be, we have a lowercase m, and we're going to go and say, actually, you know what? Let's call that animation triggers. And here we're going to go get. Why didn't you just go and get and return that beautiful m_messy animation triggers? Let's take a semicolon in there. Now we have our animation triggers, and if I save it, we pop back into Unity, hopefully we will see these appear with their default values. Ta-da! There they are. We've got normal, highlighted, press selected, disabled, locked, purchased, and cancelled. Here are our triggers. And now we need to put our beautiful events, because each one of these we want to have something like these. Right, so down here we're going to go and say, pretty much like we did the other one. You know what? We can actually just grab this, copy it, paste it in there, change this to be a Unity event, change that to be a Unity event, change that to, we can actually change that to be a new Unity event if you wanted, but you know what, should we? Maybe. I'm going to call that one underscore pointer click events, and that is going to be with a lowercase p, and stick that in there. And now we've got our first event. That is for this click one. And if I grab you, put you in there, we're going to say pointer up events. So pointer up events. And then you go in here, and you now going to be boom, like that one. And if I grab you again, stick you in there, you can see what we're doing. Now I'm going to grab the pointer down and put you in there, and then just grab from there and stick you in there, and so on and so forth. Whoops, and so on and so forth. Should I just pause it now and do the rest of them while you save yourself from getting bored? Probably a good idea. Right, there we go. I've even put little headers on them. So we've got buttons clicked, button down for the down, button released for the up, button entered for the pointer entered, button exited for the pointer exit, and button selected for select and deselect for deselect. I think that is lovely. Okay, and then when we do stuff, we are going to invoke these little badges afterwards. So pointer on click, invoke the pointer on the click events. So you can just go there and say invoke like that, and then job's done. And the same with these ones. You can just go for the pointer up, bum, 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 bum. Pointer up one, dot invoke. Okay, so let's just pause it again while I do more of these. Okay, we've got them all in. I've got my deselect invoke, select invoke, pointer exit invoke. Make sure you just haven't made mistakes and put the wrong ones in the wrong places. And now if we pop into Unity, bum, 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 we should see a load of event boxes appeared. Here we go, loads of them. Actually, too many really for me that I would use right now, but I just wanted to show you can just type them all in, and you can comment out the ones that you don't need. And I think you don't need the button clicked if you're using that, where is it, button on click here, for example. You wouldn't need that one if you're going to use this one. But you know, you could use it if you wanted. So there you go. You could use both of them, double your money. So I'm going to make a quick little script in here, or quick method in this script rather, and it's going to be like a hello world kind of thing. So we're going to go down here, go and do a public because we want to record it from our events. Void say something, and we're going to say a string something, and well, debug log something. Da 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 da, that's all it is. And now if we go, wait for it to do its magic, and now we say, actually let's go back into the scene. So now we say button entered, and we're going to go and where's our self? And we go, and messy button, say something, and this is button entered, and on button exited we can same thing again, drop that in and say messy UI button, say something, this is button exited. Too easy. And now if I do the magic and push play, keep an eye on the console, make sure that's on, click over here. Oh look, this is a button entered, this is the button exited. So now, if we wanted to do stuff, we wouldn't have to code anything ever again. We can just have these events to do things. Now oddly, you don't even need to do any of these things. Like if now I delete these, boom, do boom, add another component, events trigger, there you go, event trigger. I can add a new event and say pointer enter, click plus, and drag himself in, and say messy UI button, say something, this already existed, messy, exclamation marks. Look, it already existed. And now if I go in, see, it says that this already existed, messy. So basically, if you wanted, you could just put an event trigger component on here and do it all yourself. Add a component for exit, add a component for down, add a component for up, add a component for click, even add a component for submit, add a component for the cancel input. You know, anything you wanted, you could add these all in here, and you wouldn't have had to do anything yourself because it's here for you. But in saying that, I wouldn't have had as much control as I would have sticking it in my own. So that's why I've put it in. I've done my own one. I've got a nice little, it's all tidy. I've got my animation triggers, and I've got my events that coincide with my triggers. So I think this is very pretty. I like it this way. Thank you very much. I know it already existed. Well, those who didn't know it existed, there you go. If you didn't want to do any code, you could just use this. But not bad so far. Not bad so far at all. Now we're going to have some fun now. We're going to, although I'm not saying you haven't been having fun already, but you probably have been. We're going to have a little bit more fun. We're going to start doing the same thing, but in different ways, which is always interesting to see how we can do the same thing in different ways. I'm just going to start off by throwing in a public string of the current state. So we're going to say current state, and we're going to say here, what is the current state of the button? That's the question, and the answer is, well, we're going to find out. So we've got a public string current state, and we're just going to get the value of the private one, and we're going to say that is return the value of m current state, and there you go. That's it. Yeah, put a semicolon in there. That one's done. Brilliant. You know what? Just so we can prove a point, let's put a serializable field. Serialize field. There you go. Lovely. And now we're going to make a dictionary, because dictionaries are nice to keep things in. So we're going to have a dictionary of a string and a bool, because we want to know if our anim triggers are there or not. We want to automate this as much as possible. So we're going to say anim trigger, because more of them, and we're going to make a new dictionary, and there you go, and put one of those things at the end of it. Brilliant. Now we've got ourselves a dictionary, and a dictionary's got string and a bool. So we can say it's going to be normal trigger, true or false, things like that. So let's do a awake. There you go, there's an awake, and straight away we're going to start adding in the triggers that we specifically want. So we don't have to worry about ones that we don't want. So I'm going to say anim triggers dot add, because we're adding to the dictionary, and we're going to go and well, we need to go up here to our messy animation triggers. You know what, this is really too long. I'm going to make that shorter. M underscore anim. You know what, there you go. It's a lot easier to worry about. M underscore anim. So M underscore anim normal trigger, and then put a bracket, no comma, and then we're going to say false, because we're setting it false by default. And then grab that, copy that, and paste that like loads, like that. And we're going to scroll and get these, whoops, hang on, those, bob, and stick them down the bottom, because we're just going to do some copy pasties. So we got our normal in, take our highlighted in, our pressed, our selected, our disabled, our locked, our purchased, and our cancelled. And we don't need that last one. We did one too many, and then we can get rid of all of these. Boom, they're gone. Brilliant. And now we're just going to go through those and check if they're there and set them as true. So I'm going to put just a simple for loop in here. I'm going to say for int I equals 0, because we're going to start at 0. We're going to go as long as I is less than our animator parameter count. There it is. And let's go and increment that. Plop, plop, and there we go in. Now we're going to say if our anim triggers dot contains a key, and our anim dot parameters, whoops, parameters. Now we want our I, because that's the one that we're getting in our little loop, and then its name. Right, so it's checking to see if it's actually there. Do we have it? And if it is, we're going to say anim triggers, and then in our squares we're going to say animator, because we need to find the right way, animator dot parameters, and then the I again, because we want to find the one that we're going through, name. There we go, we found which trigger we're looking for, set him as true, and that's our value. Don't forget, because our dictionary is a string and the bool, and our value is the bool and the string is the key. So there we go. Now we've just got a lovely little loop going on. So when we wake up, these are the triggers that we want, and let's go through, if they exist, set it as true, and that's it. Very cheap, lovely, it's in, jobs are good 'em. Okie dokie. Now we got that, that's nice. Let's make a couple more little methods that we're going to play about with. Now one thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we are resetting triggers. So because there's a little bit of a nice little issue Unity has where sometimes the triggers don't get reset. So let's make a private void reset triggers. And you only notice that this bug exists when you spend a lot of your time going, why are my triggers being reset? Which happens a lot. So we're going to make now a dictionary string bool dot enumerator, and I'm going to call my enumerator dictionary, and anim triggers get the enumerator. This is one way we can do this, and we're going to say while dictionary, because that's our dictionary, move next, and put those in there. And that, while it's there, we go to the next one, and we're going to say our key value pair, And our key value pair that we're looking for, as we know, is a string and a ball. And element, we're just going to call it element because it's easy. And a dictionary, the current one that we're playing about with. So now we're moving through our dictionary, we're grabbing the current one of those, and we're going to check if the element value, so the ball, is true. And if it's true, it means it's on. Brilliant. And if it's on, we're going to say animator, reset that naughty trigger. And what trigger are we going to set? That's right, the element key. And should you be a capital? Yes, you should be a capital. So if we've got the trigger on our animator and it matches one of these, then we're going to, and it's been set to true because it matched one of those, then we're going to reset the trigger. That's it, reset trigger. And that's one way of doing this loop through a dictionary. Apparently that's the most cost-effective way of doing it, but that was on a previous old version of Unity, and now Unity is supposed to be super awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to make a private void for my set trigger. Oh, set trigger method. Two T's right next to each other. Always a little bit scary. And here we want to pass through a string of the state. Lovely jubbly. Okay, so now we've got our little method that we're going to make, and we're going to say, put some error handling in here. If our animator is null, or to put 2 pipes for an or, our game object that we've got is not active in hierarchy, or our animator is not active and enabled, or our animator doesn't have any bound playables, then we're just going to return out of this and go home. Then we're going to say, you know what, I want to reset all those triggers. So now it's resetting all of those triggers. And now we're going to do a for each. So it's exactly the same as we did this little enumerator loop, but now we're doing a for each. So I'm going to say string s in anim triggers keys, because we're checking the keys of these. So we're looking for a string, and in the anim triggers keys, and if our state that we passed through up at the top of here equals s, so if it's the same as the s, and anim triggers s value, now because you don't have to put value like that because it knows it's the value, is true. So is the ball true? If so, wonderful. Then we can actually animator set the trigger. Which trigger are we going to set, I hear you ask? Well, obviously it's going to be S. That's the string that we've passed through. And just for good measure, remember that current state that we created? I'm going to set it to S as well. And then let's just break out of here so we don't have to worry about looping through the rest of them. Because once you've found one, that's it. You're done. You don't really care about the rest of them. Brilliant. You know what? Should we put in a debug log here? Just so we can prove a point? Yeah, why not? We're going to put a debug log in there. And that is pretty much all of the magic that we need. And how do we call these wonderful things? Well, let's go back up here and start chucking them in. So on click, we're going to decide which one of our states that we want to do on a click. So we can say set trigger, put our brackets, underscore anim, and now it's going to be the, which trigger we're going to do? Pressed trigger, maybe? And if we go to pointer up, I'm not really going to trigger anything, but on pointer down, I'm going to trigger the press trigger. And on mouse enter, I think we should do highlighted trigger. And on mouse exit, I think we should go back to the normal trigger. And on select, well, that's going to be the selected trigger. And on deselect, well, that's going to be back to the normal trigger. Fantastic. And here we are inside Unity. We've got our current state and we can click play. Dun, 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 dun. Nothing currently there. Huh. Well, that's because we haven't actually gone to our button. So now if I go to my button, we should do it on awake. It should be set to normal. That would be good. Okay, so go in here. Now it's highlighted. And you can see we've got highlighted in the console, and this button is entered. It says this button is entered because over on the right hand side we've got our events that say this button is entered when it goes in. Now when I click, oh, do you know what we should do? I'm just going to pop out of that. Let's put our animator here at the bottom. There you go. Isn't that nice? Let's zoom out a touch. Now if I just clear, let's do that again. So now if I go in, you can see it's gone to highlighted. This button is entered. If I go out, it goes back to normal. Now you can see that it stays on both of them for a little while. That's because over here you see that we've got a little bit of a transition going on. So if you don't like that, you can always change that. Now if I click, what I'm going to do is going to clear that. Now if I click pressed, it should go pressed and then selected. Boom. And it went pressed, selected, back to pressed. So we didn't stay with selected. Now it depends on what you want. Do you want it to stay with selected, or do you want it to go back to highlighted, normal, pressed, or whatever? Entirely up to you. So you could see while I'm down there, get up, I've gone back to pressed. Now you could change that if you wanted. You could have a condition in here that basically says that if we're selected, then don't go to anything else and stay in selected. So we could actually put that in the code, or we could create a bool here that we enable from the code, so it stops us from being able to use it. So we could go here, parameter. We can't do it when we're in play mode. So we could go here and make a bool. That's called, we just call it underscore selected, like that. And here on pressed, we can have a condition that is selected has to be false for us to be able to use the pressed, and has to be false for us to be highlighted, like that. And it has to be true for us to be selected. You can do it that way. So let's click play, and you see that it works. But if I tick that, boom, and now it stays. And if I do selected, there you go, the selected one works. So we could do it that way. That's one way of doing it. Or let's go back to the code. In the code, if we go and make ourselves another private bool, and we call this one is selected, like that. And then we can basically say that boom is selected, and set trigger, where are we? Up here on the top. So where are you? Our on click on blah 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 on la 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 on select. Here we go. So on our select, we can say selected equals true. Like that. There you go. You see? Brilliant. And we could say in here that if it's not selected, then use the normal. Bum bum bum. Make sure there's no spaces there. Likewise here. There was another one we had. We had another one over here. So where are we? Lovely, lovely, lovely. Brilliant. And on deselect, we will say is selected is false. Obviously. Brilliant. Fantastic. Now let's pop back inside Unity and see if that did anything. Or by default, I'm just going to say is false wherever 1 equals. So by default it's false, just forcing it. So now if we go in and click play, dun 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 dun, we've got here normal. If I move my mouse over it, it's highlighted. If I press it, Oh, if I press it, it just stayed unhighlighted. Now, why have you stayed unhighlighted? Oh, of course, because we had a condition here that said that it had to be true. Idiots. Delete that. And let's delete these ones here. Boom, get rid of that. And let's get rid of that one there. Boom. And did we have one here? No, we didn't. Okay, do that again. Let's do that again. Now we don't have any of those silly things left over. Move the mouse over, click it, and now you see it's stuck unselected. Now if I deselect, boom, it goes back to normal. And we can start playing with it again. And if I click it, it goes back to selected. Now you'll notice, if I get out of play mode, that I still was very briefly pressed and then selected. For a very brief moment, we were pressed and then selected. So there you go. That's one way of doing it. And the last way we can do it is we can, that's my chair squeaking, not me by the way, we can set this here, this underscore selected, and call it out. So if we go back to the code, and we, you see here we've got this is selected. So actually, if we make that put an M in front of it, is selected, false. But we say here, public bool is selected, and I'm going to say get like that, and it's going to be animator dot get bool. And our ball is underscore selected. Does that work? Does that work? Oh, we need to return it. Return. So return animator get ball selected. Okay, this is going to be weird, very weird indeed. So then here on deselect, we want to say. Set the value. So animator set ball, and our ball ID is going to be, because we know the name of it, underscore selected. This is going to be exciting. I don't know if this is going to work. False the value, and on here the true one is going to be true. Okay. Boom. And here we've left it as it's checking this public ball. Oh, this is exciting, isn't it? Let's see if this works. I have no idea if this is going to work or not. Haven't tried that before. So let's clear that. Let's click play. Keep an eye on this. So here we go. And by the way, let's have a look at this here so we can scroll down. We see that the current state's on normal. So current state's now highlighted. You're going to press it. Boom. And you see the ball. Oh, brilliant. It's selected. Fantastic. Fantastic. And now, when I click off. Brilliant. Fantastic. Oh, that is superb. Superb. Oh, my word. And we can put these back in here and say that selected has to be false. Selected has to be false. Brilliant. And even on the normal, let's say selected has to be false. Brilliant. And now let's get back into the code. Right, back into the code. Last bit of replaying we're going to say is if we scroll up here, get rid of these ifs. So the only thing that we check in is now the animator itself. So the code basically does no work and allows you to do all the editing on that part in the mechanism. So basically it means that you don't have to delve in the code. It gives more control here. This is so annoying, these error messages here. Just clear those. Okay, let's click play. Go back and click on this little badger. Scroll down here. So current state, it's highlighted. What does it think it's pressed? Something's triggering the press trigger. Why is it going crazy? Look. Current state is highlighted, but that's not what's playing here, baby. What did we break? What did we break? Oh, that's what we broke. We changed that condition. Oh my word. What a fool I am. So, condition has to be... Oh my word. I was like, what did we break? I knew we broke something. I know we broke something. So, brilliant. That was the only one we broke. Fantastic. Genius. Okay. So that's pretty strange. Okay. Back in again. Highlighted. Pressed. Selected. Stays on it. If we go back in, you can see it's trying to hit the trigger. It's saying highlighted, normal, highlighted, because it's hitting the trigger, but it's not actually going to do anything. So the trigger's funny, like saying, hey, trigger. But the trigger's not going to change the animation, because here it's saying, look, fine, you can fire off the trigger as much as you want. As much as you want. But I've got an extra condition that says selected has to be false. Now if I deselect, boom, selected has gone back to being false, and it's gone back to playing the normal. I think out of all of them, that's my favourite one, and I think I'm going to keep that. It was my favourite because it just means I can control it all in here with these conditions, and I find that a lot more pleasant than having to jump into the code every time I change my mind and I want to tweak it. So there you go. We've pretty much now made our own messy button. It takes advantage of functionality that the Unity buttons got, but it allows us to add a lot more states. And the other nice thing about it is, as you can see, we've got this up here where we're stating what kind of triggers that we've got. And if we go down here, we then force it and say, look, I want to add these triggers in, but everything else is automated. It basically goes through, and we don't need these debugs anymore, it goes through and checks it without you needing to basically duplicate the same thing over and over again. We don't have to make a load of enums, we don't have to make a load of switches. It's hopefully not using up too much because we're not doing it on the update, but I think it's pretty tasty, to be honest. I'm very pleased with this. I hope this helps you in making more powerful customized buttons that are tailored to your needs while still taking advantage of the power that you can get with Unity's beautiful buttons and navigation tools that they have. So if you do like these videos and you want to see more, do click on that big juicy subscribe button. It's a lot like this one, but it's got the word subscribe on it. So if we go here and we change that, say subscribe, yeah, it's like that. It's like that, okay? Subscribe button. Click that. You don't mind? Oh, there's one extra thing. While you're thinking about subscribing, if you do change the transition to now be color tint, and we say that the normal color is going to be white, the highlighted color is going to be yellow, and the pressed color is going to be red. And now if we click play, it still does my animations, but now it can do the transitions of the colors as well. Isn't that lovely? I think that's pretty tasty indeed. So there, if you do like it, click it. Till next time. If you want to see more of my crazy videos, click on the left side of your screen now, and down below there's that big juicy subscribe button, and right next to it is the magic bell that if you click it, it will tell you if I've got a new video coming out. Till next time.